Hello and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. We're here for a preview show and we're looking ahead to another action-packed weekend of club games. As always, this podcast is brought to you in association with McKeever's Teamwear, proud suppliers of all Armagh GA merchandise. I'm joined this week by Peter Nugent, and as I say, we're going to look ahead to all the games coming up this weekend, and we'll start with Division 1A. Peter, this is the big game in Division 1A. I suppose this week it's going to be shown live on Armagh TV. This is Greenmore taking on Modern. Probably a bit of a rivalry built up the last couple of years between these two teams. A couple of years ago, they were both sort of fighting it out to get up out of Division 1B. Greenmore eventually got promotion and ended up beating Modern in the championship quarterfinal that year. I think it was 2019. So a bit of a rivalry and two teams that are on opposite ends of the table at the minute. Modern obviously going well following their win last week. They're 4 in a row now, while Greenmore haven't picked up a point yet, but I'm sure they'd like nothing more than to pick up their first win of the season against Modern.
Yes, Sean, it's a game where there'd be, you have that element of rivalry. A lot of them lads would have went to school together, etc. And as you say there, it's two teams coming from sort of opposite ends of the spectrum. Greenmore got off to a slow start, lost out on a couple of games narrowly. I think they maybe drew with Mahary on a bad night in a low scoring game. But they have new management in there, and sometimes it just takes a wee while for a management team to get their ideas across and implement new strategies, systems, getting to know the makeup of their panel. So I don't think it would be fair to maybe point too many fingers there at them, this early stage of the season. Whereas Modern have a lot of continuity, and Mickey Grimley's obviously been with them boys now for 3-4 seasons maybe, and would have taken a lot of them through underage as well. So you know what you're getting there, and the fact that I think even maybe they're lads that they have apart from Niall who are with Armagh more or less played every game, so they're more or less getting their full league team out, or at least their strongest players out every week, which they would have needed, but they've got them out and they're seeing the rewards, and by all accounts on the reports of last week's game with the big cross, they were down to half time and really put their shoulder hard to the wheel in the second half and turned it over. So you can only imagine what that'll do for their confidence. It's probably just what the doctor ordered, and they'll be coming into this now full of it. But these type derby type games rarely go to the script, and Greenmore have a lot of seasoned campaigners still in their ranks, and Greenmore still see this as a game that they can get something from.
And I think we spoke about it on Tuesday's show. Greenmore need to start picking up points. This will be their halfway stage now. 7 games, only 1 point picked up. And as I said, they would love nothing more than to earn their first win against Modern. Saturday night then, Peter Cleve hosts the Harps. And the Harps minus Declan McKenna, who picked up a red card last week against Clonerne. So Cleve are riding high at the minute. They're top of the league. They've went on I think it's a 4-game unbeaten run. They're playing some brilliant stuff. Tommy Coleman filled us in a couple of weeks ago when they had beaten Clonerne, how well they were playing. So Cleve, they seem to be flying at the minute, and it's obviously going to be a tough place to go for the Harps without their captain and sort of talisman, Declan McKenna.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's like anything like home advantage in league football will always carry that additional bit of weight. And Cleve, like league football would still be rated very highly in Cleve in terms of continuing to develop their team, which has been sort of coming along nicely ever since they got promoted from intermediate. I think that's maybe 5 seasons ago now. Put in a couple of decent championship campaigns. Obviously bounced into 1A, I think, in their first season back, and they've been able to hang around there really ever since. I think they escaped relegation in the last game, maybe last year, the second last game. So they've hung in there. They've great depth on panel of players there, all with a good age profile. And I think if we're looking at anything, we're probably just looking to see, are they going to unearth a couple of more viable players emerging up front, because they seem to have a lot of the raw materials and the basics right, in terms of a pretty good goalkeeper, And defensively, they've a lot of players that are capable of going man on man. You've seen last year probably against Crossmaglen, they were very well set up, very organised, and they really held their own in that game for 50, 55 minutes. It was only really near the end where Cross pulled away. So probably if they had that wee bit of sharpening up front in terms of their decision making, and maybe one real out and out top marksman, they wouldn't be too far away in the bigger scheme of things. So it'll be an interesting game. You'd have to think that maybe just with the home advantage and the way things is going for Cleve at the minute, winning games, that you might just fancy him to push on through in that one.
And Cleve, Tommy had mentioned their inside line sort of once Cleve started getting back into the game against Clonard, and their full forward line really took over. And I think it's the likes of Mcnabb, Oisin King, and Keelan McConville, I think, missed out last year. If my memory serves me right, he was injured for most of the season. He missed maybe the entire season. I can't remember him playing much in the league or championship. So having the likes of that caliber of player as Keelan McConville back, he sort of plays between midfield on the forward line, but he probably does more damage when he's in full forward. It just depends on personnel more than need him.
He does, yeah. He did. He came on against Cross last year, Sean, I think, in the sort of last 10 or 15 minutes, and he gave them probably what they've been missing up until that point in the game, which was, a viable, robust ball winner up front. Mcnabb's a really, really good agile forward, but you just have your slight concerns about him as being the main ball winner up front, so you feel it. And I've seen Cleve do it over the last couple of seasons. They'll always go with some kind of presence inside. But again, it's one thing throwing in any type of bigger man, but it's really when ball's in hand, how sharp is the decision making? Can he bring other people into the game? Can he see the difference between playing someone else in or backing himself? Is that more favourable? So I think they're still maybe shy that up front because they're going to win plenty of primary possession. They're strong around the middle. Mobility is not an issue. But when you're looking at both teams probably having a similar amount of possession in a game, then what it comes down to is your economy and having the right level of player at the top end of the field. And I suppose that's just still where the question marks hang over them when it comes down to the real sort of tight games in the championship. But they have a lot of the other stuff nailed on and right, and it's probably a good project for Wayne Kieran to come in there and get his hands on,
And then there's one more 1A game. It's on Sunday, Clonard taking on Drummond. And just looking at the table, I know Clonard's form has been a bit up and down. They've lost all their home games but won their away games. They've won 3 of their 6. Drummond, they're just 2 points behind Clonard. They're sort of hovering around that relegation zone, but Drummond, I'm sure, would be confident enough that they have enough. They've been in that Division 1A a couple of years now. They've obviously won it last year. So this is going to be a two big points on offer for whoever can get them on Sunday.
It is, yes. It's probably Drummond maybe we're always going to struggle to just repeat the highs of winning the league over the 2020 and 21 seasons. I remember they got a great start to that campaign and won a number of games in tight battles. But I think by all accounts, sort of injuries sort of caught up with them, and not just niggles. I think they were struck down with a number of long-term injuries. I think they had a couple of cruciates and that. So if your panel's if it's not a massive panel depth-wise, and you get a couple of them in key positions, it can definitely hinder your attempts at progress. So it'll be interesting to see how way that goes. Drummond obviously they've just sort of started a wee bit slower this season. They may recoup and get bodies back later on in the season and be that bit stronger come the business end of the year. But with Clonard, they're probably a similar enough story. They maybe haven't just hit their straps yet fully, but that was always going to be difficult, and I think Tommy's alluded to that. You players that are playing right in last year at Christmas, and it was totally something different for them, something completely new, and probably the majority of them wouldn't have had such an intensive club season running for that long. So they're probably finding their feet again, and maybe their fitness maybe just isn't 100% where it needs to be yet, and they're also blooding a lot of younger players. Lads just out of minors, so I don't think there'll be any panic in Clonard. I know they won in the Harps last week, and I suppose what we forget too is that it's really their first season back in 1A. I think that's clouded by the fact that they won the championship last year, but 1A is just throwing up a top 8 team week after week after week after week, and that probably takes a level of acclimatization as well. So I think they'll be happy just to sort of get through the league and get the required amount of wins to probably stay in it, get some bodies back for the summer, and be good to go then for the first round of the championship starting.
And then down to Division 1B, Peter. Two sort of big games here in Division 1B. I'm going to start with Sarsfields and Clonagales. Probably a bit of a derby game as well between these two. And just looking back at results, Sarsfields obviously won Division 2A last year. They beat Clonagale. Now, I'm not sure how Clonagale took the league last year since they'd already been promoted from winning the championship the year before, but they beat Clonagale by 3 points. They're two teams I have seen recently, two really good teams, and we've spoken off about Sarsfields the other day with Tommy Coleman. Paul McGowan was obviously a standout for them against Mcnabb, and Clonagale have plenty of talent as well, like Shane McParland, Lennox Kamara, and Al Henderson. So this one could be a really interesting game on two teams that are pushing for promotion.
It could be, Sean. Yeah, I know the Clans got off to a really good start when they really give Pierce Oaks a bit of a hammering. But I suppose if you look since then, they were beaten by yourselves, and then I think last weekend they sort of struggled over what have been considered a pretty weakened Green side. So they're maybe just not on top form, and maybe the acclimatization now to playing at 1B is just going to be a wee bit trickier than maybe many thought it would be for them. I think their championship performance last year would have give rise to the thought that they'd be coming in and really taking this grade by storm and maybe looking to get out of it in their first year. But I think there's maybe enough signs now to suggest that this is going to be a real dogfight, probably between any of maybe 4 teams anyway, to fight for 2 spots to get out of it. So probably it mightn't be the worst thing in the world for them that they've sort of maybe stumbled recently. It might sort of get them a chance to refocus on, certainly with Sarsfields coming into view now. This is a Lurgan North Armagh derby, and they've had a couple of good meetings over the last couple of years. Two clubs really with good tradition. So it'll be a good game. 2 teams that want to play fast football. 2 teams that'll probably lend itself to being a pretty open game. And there's good forwards on both sides. So it would be very difficult to call. The only thing you're probably looking at is Sarsfields under Brendan Hughes will probably play with a bit more of an element of caution with him at the helm now, and I'm sure he'll have them well organised. Their level of experience right across the board probably beats that of the Clans at the moment, given the Clans have a few boys missing in that regard. So wouldn't be at all surprised if Sarsfields back themselves and keep on this decent run that they're on.
I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that game. That's one we'll definitely look forward to. 2 teams, as you say, Peter, that lend themselves to open football, and it could be a high scoring game with the forward lines that both teams have. Also in Division 1B then on Sunday is Mcnabb going to Silverbridge, and Mcnabb, they're the only team unbeaten in Division 1B, and must be said they've only played 3 games so far. And so Silverbridge, they're top of the league. They haven't been beaten since the first round of the league. So 2 teams, again, a bit like Silverbridge and Clonagale, fighting for promotion. 2 teams that would be, up around the favourites for promotion, certainly the way Silverbridge have started the league. And Mcnabb, the way they've been for the last couple of years, they're probably 2 of the favourites to get up for them promotion spots.
Yes, 100%. And both teams have got Division 1A experience over the last number of years. To be quite honest, I was disappointed with Silverbridge last year. I didn't think they really acquitted themselves as well as they were capable of in 1B. They didn't really threaten the promotion picture. In fact, they sort of had to win a couple of games near the back end of the season just to stave off the threat of relegation. So, but they turned out around the championship and they got a good run. And I think they got the semi-final in the end, beat by Cross. And well, I mean, it's a local derby, I suppose. But just looking, Sean, at the quality they do have, they've, I think I've said it before, really good age profile. Mobility's not an issue. They've got Carragher forming the bedrock in the middle for them, and then up front, the likes of Jamie Martin, the Sean Rock as well, Jamie Murphy. and the plenty of fluidity there, and if they're on their home patch, their field is massive, and in lengthwise it's massive, and it suits open football, and it's if teams go there with the ambition of playing with lots of bodies behind the ball, that's a long night covering that amount of ground and trying to get back into shape and trying to attack. It's an extremely long field and it's wide as well. So they'll be hoping that the Mcnabb come looking for a good expansive game of football. And again, it's got the makings of a cracking game. And if all I can say is if Silverbridge give away more than their share of 45s, and Chris Carroll come up and he'll smack them over. He was very quick to get on to me, Sean, I must say now, just before we wrap up on this one. After our debate about scoring keepers, and he felt that his nose was put out of joint a wee bit, so he was straight on Sunday to let me know that he had put that one to bed,
Yeah, Chris, our new free taker, anywhere from about 70 metres, I would say, is his range at the minute. And he wasn't happy with Darragh O'Shea's article this morning either, that anybody can sort of play nets. But there's two other games then in Division 1B. Carrickcruppen take on Cullyhanna, and Mullabone meet Pearshove. They're both on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So Division 2A then, Peter, another tough one to call. It's Annachmore hosting St. Peter's. I don't know, you recently played Annachmore, so you got an up close view of them. St. Peter's, I would imagine, are going well. They're joint top of the league, I think, with Shane O'Neill's. But as Shane O'Neill's found out a couple of weeks ago, Annachmore is a tough place to go to get 2 points.
Yeah, look, every single team in that division, Sean, the true test of their medal is what do they do when they go to Annachmore. That's the long and short of it, really. We got to the game last week. Shane O'Neill's landed in, and they're just hit for 6. In the opening 20 minutes, the game's done. It's over after 20 minutes. I think there was maybe 9 points in at that stage. Annachmore hit them for a couple of goals. But the impressive thing about Annachmore in the night was they pressed Shane O'Neill's extremely hard in the early going, and their physicality on that field, where there's not as much ground to cover, makes it a very difficult prospect for a team trying to build out from the back. And Shane's really come undone with that high press and the level of physicality and aggression that Annachmore brought to it. And the field there is obviously it's the smallest field at intermediate or senior level in the county by a distance. They know it down to a T. It's not long at all, so it suits their shape when they want to fall back into shape and congest things. They can do it at the drop of a hat. But also, obviously, age-wise, they're not maybe the youngest team in the competition, but that field suits them. It allows them to press. It allows them to drop off. They're not expending as much energy as they would, say, whenever they're away from home. And it really suits them, and that's going to be an almighty dogfight on Sunday. St. Peter's not afraid to shy away from the physicality themselves. They played on more recently. Last season, 1B, they played them twice as well, so they would have had the taste of that trip to Annachmore. But it's, you're a team in that division, you're going down more and you're getting out by a point, you're thanking your lucky stars and you're getting down the road as quick as you can,
And Shane O'Neill's the opposite side of it, then they have a chance to bounce back from that defeat. They're playing St. Paul's on Sunday, and St. Paul's obviously trying to come back from a defeat too. So both sides that, coming off the back of defeats, they're looking to get back on track here. St. Paul's will have home advantage. Shane O'Neill's top of the league. So this is another big clash in Division 2A on a big 2 points in offer once again.
It is, yes. St. Paul's were quite unfortunate on Monday night. It felt, Sean, that they went into half time 2 ahead, and then the second half for long periods they were still in front. They were overhauled with about 10 minutes to go, having lost probably 3 key players in the second half. And I thought they probably lost their shape a wee bit in what was a very open game. Both teams sort of played very loosely and really went to win the game. St. Paul's passed up a couple of decent goal opportunities as well in the second half, and maybe 2-3 decent attacks coming down the stretch to at least get a draw from it. And they were probably just suffered as a consequence of losing those sort of main players earlier in the game. So they'll feel that they were very much in the contest against what's a good Tully Sarn side. And Tully Sarn not lose too many games at home this year either. But they've a short window probably to recover and get back at it this week. Sheens have obviously been off since last Tuesday, so it'll be coming up in 2 weeks since their last game. And, it's probably going to be a don't want to say a make or break game for them, but it'll determine whether what happened in Annaghmore was a blip or whether it's maybe more indicative of their overall trajectory. So they'll be coming hungry, I presume, to sort of, put right that performance. I don't think it would have sat well with them. And there's no doubt that they have the forwards probably and the fluidity to cause St. Paul's real problems on that big pitch. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
And then the other, there's one more Division 2A game then, Whitecross take on Tully on Sunday at 2 o'clock as well. Most of these games, I think, are all on Sunday, bar a couple of the junior ones, and then Cleve and Harps is Saturday night, obviously. So Division 2B then, Peter, with a repeat of last year's junior championship final. It's Balik and Cross McGlen, who were arguably the two best teams in that league last year. I think they finished second in the league last year and probably felt hard done by that they didn't push on for promotion. But going by the championship, Blake and Cross were the two best teams in the competition. Blake obviously won the game. Both have went up, got promotion, and they've both performed really well. Blake are unbeaten at the minute. And I think Cross McGlen have been beaten once, and it was the Poloville who are top of the league. So two teams here and maybe a bit of a local derby as well, and two teams that are really in good form at the minute.
Well, Sean, you probably make a case for saying that the league are the story of the league so far, and that just adapted really, really seamlessly to the demands of a division above them. And maybe it makes a case for saying that is the gap between top end junior and sort of mid to lower end intermediate, is it really that big at all? So it's momentum's key, and they're obviously they're thriving on it. I know they went big on their management team as well and brought in a bit more experience in that regard as well. Todd to Garther, who had won the championship with them last year. So the rising tide will lift all the boats, and they're on that crest of a wave at the minute. It's obviously going to be a big game at the weekend, but when you're playing that well and you're used to winning games, and the players in their changing room there's an expectancy to win games, that can be hard shook off at times, and I don't think they were coming in with any fears this weekend.
I think just thinking back to last year, Cross, probably because of the amount of players they had, like you had Colin O'Connor, Paul McKeown, Johnny McKeever, that had won senior championship medals a couple of years previous. There was an expectation that Cross would just go on and win that championship. And especially, I think, when Callum O'Neill wasn't going to be in the final, you felt Cross was going to win it. So they'll probably be out to overturn that result last year, and they'll be out for a bit of revenge maybe on Sunday.
Yeah, they won a hard-fought game last weekend as well against Fork Hill, and still got to respect what they have in their changing room. They're boys that have been to the top of the club game and sampled county football as well. Likes of Paul McKeown still playing. O'Connor is a damn good player at this level, and they'll be like any Cross team. They'll be hard put away. But you just get that feeling with Balik that they're on a really riding the crest of the wave at the minute, and I know there's bigger tests for them to come. I don't think they've played Portadown yet, and I don't think they've played Poloville. So, this is probably the start of running games for them now, where we're really going to see where they're at, but they couldn't be going into this in any better form.
And Poloville, we'll mention them a few times there. They're back in action then on Sunday. They're hosting Katie. Poloville top of the league, 4 from 4 at the minute, unbeaten. I think they've beaten Tiernan, and as we said, they haven't played Balik yet. But Katie, they've won their last two. They're maybe hitting form at the right time, so there's maybe a bit of potential for an upset this week. Katie, obviously, a well-settled intermediate team at this stage, went and I think they finished third in the league last year. So this could have the potential of an upset if Poloville aren't at it.
Yeah, Katie has been in the promotion mix for what seems like an eternity now there, Sean, and 2B. In 2019, that basically would have probably been forgiven for thinking that they had promotion sewn up until Grange came along and won the championship, and that knocked that back a year. And then last year, in 2020 and 21, you'd Crocklin went on to win the championship, and the Tones beat Katie over the 2 games in the head-to-head to seal the deal that way. So they've been in the conversation. Now, I suppose the question is, has it passed them by? Are they another 3-4 years down the track, and maybe they haven't kicked on sufficiently? You'd have to say, looking at some of their results to date, it's been a wee bit patchy, and you would say that there's question marks still hanging over them. Poloville, from what I've seen of their results, nobody's really getting that close to them. They beat Portadown on the first day, and then after that, it's been quite clear cut for them ever since. So I think the last day they put up a huge tally away to Clonmore, and like anybody that's ever went and played in Clonmore will tell you that it's a difficult place to get out of at times. And to score 2-18 down there, that's pretty ruthless looking. And I think it would be churlish to ignore the sort of numbers and tallies they're putting up, and you'd have to give them the nod again this weekend.
I think we're going to keep an eye on Poloville. We've spoke about them enough probably the last 2 years on what they've done on the championship last year and how they've started this season. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on them and see how they progress throughout the year and look ahead to the championship and see can they reproduce what they done last year. The other 2 games then in Division 2B, Ballyhagan hosts College Land and Clonmore take on Forkhill both on Sunday at 2 p.m. Down to Division 3 then, Peter, and I suppose we built up, me and Tommy built up our Ogan Derrynoose as the game of the week last week, and it was anything but that. We talked about it on our review show. Derrynoose obviously had a huge win and they host Claudia on Friday night, but Ogue have a chance to bounce back this week. They're at home once again. They're hosting Middletown on a Middletown team that will have their county hurlers back, so it maybe isn't the easiest game to have after such a disappointing defeat, but it is a chance to bounce back nonetheless after what was such a surprising and disappointing defeat for them.
Yes, Sean. It was certainly a result that caught the eye. Speaking to Marty Hoy, be part of the Ogue management team, and he, very much of the mindset of just dust down and get going with things again. And look, over the course of a season, bad results invariably will come to most teams. At some stage, Ogue probably hadn't really been put in any kind of stress or position this year to date. So I'm sure the lads would be disappointed with the team reaction on the day. But we're in May time, and the junior championship probably won't be decided till October. So there's a nice window there for Ogue themselves to get to work and to start putting some of those wrongs from Sunday to rights. And I'm sure they'll maybe get another crack at Derrynoose maybe before the year's over again, especially in the league and then possibly in the championship. And I think maybe they were missing sort of a cohort of integral players as well. So it's not ideal for them, but at the same time, getting a wake-up call every now and again, sometimes there's going to be a lot to be said for it.
So that's one of 6 games in the junior division on the weekend. On Friday, Derrynoose play Claude, Thomas Davis play Cleve, and Ogue take on Middletown. They're all on Friday at 7:30, and then Sunday is Lesummon against Dorsey, O'Hanlon's against Portmore, and St Michael's against Mullabrack, all at 2:00. So we'll be covering all them games as usual. We'll be updating all the results, all the league tables, all the match reports over the weekend and on Monday as well. And we'll be back with a review show on Monday or Tuesday as well with another special guest on to discuss all the games. Peter, thanks very much for coming on and giving us your insight into this weekend's games.
No problem, Sean. Thanks for having me.